Hello, and welcome to I'm Too Busy. I'm Christina Flack, your host. I'm a celebrity makeup artist and CEO with a passion for all things beauty, wellness, and success. On this show, I'll take you on exciting journeys, sharing personal stories and insights from inspiring entrepreneurs. Together, we will explore manifestation, health, wellness, and the secrets to thriving in life and business. Let's jump in and get inspired. Hello, I'm Christina Flack, and welcome to I'm Too Busy. I am so excited to interview my next guest, Alyssa Morra, because she's all about the gut health, which is like my new obsession in life. She is a nutritional practitioner, gut health expert, and founder of the Love and the Trust Your Guts program. Oh my God, I love this. How did you start this journey with gut health?
That's a good question. I got to tell you, I didn't wake up and aspire to talk about poop and look at poop pictures for a living. I was actually a trained opera singer, and years ago, my sister was diagnosed with colitis, and being admitted back into the hospital again and seeing her suffering, I really believed there had to be a better way. And I went home, I started searching, and long story short, I really realized that I was not too far off from inflammatory bowel disease myself if I didn't get my shit together, quite literally. And so I went back to school and became a registered holistic nutritionist at the time and started practicing. But as I kind of went through my own health journey, my health journey really just began at that point. You know, I realized I had gut issues, but later on I ended up with Lyme disease, which ignited a whole slew of gut infections. I went back to school and became a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner and really became passionate about doubling down on helping people with their gut health. So that's kind of how I got here today in the short story.
Wow, that is quite a story. Do you think it was like kind of a genetic thing that both of you had, that you were both, that were having these issues, or was it something with how you were eating, or how do you think it happened?
This is such a good question. And I get asked about genetics often. And I always remind people that, genes are like a light switch. And so, what really is going to determine whether it's activated or not is your lifestyle. And so it's tough to say whether it was, genes influencing things at the time, but more often than not, the reason why we see patterns through families is because birds of a
lifestyle
together,
right.
And so how we kind of navigate the world and how we process stressors and the foods that we eat are often really similar. And so I think that it was more generational patterns and habits than it was genetics in that case.
Mm-hmm. As a makeup artist, I'm constantly speaking about beauty from the inside out. And I'd love to hear I really think there's a huge, connection between your gut and your face and your brain, obviously. Can you tell me a little bit about your thoughts about how and why gut health affects skin and brain cognitivity so much?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, there's two major pieces we have to talk about, and that is the skin and your bowels. And the interesting thing about the skin is it's an exit point for the body. And so if you're struggling with skin issues, we have to ask why that's happening. And it's usually because there's something within the body that does not belong. Most people think they're lacking some nutrients. So they're quick to go buy things like collagen, and they start, ingesting all these greens powders, and they're taking all these supplements. And sure, they could be helpful, but it's more often than not, there's something within the body that doesn't belong. And the body is pushing it out through the skin, because we're not eliminating it through our primary drainage points. And our first drainage point are our bowels. And so a lot of people are always surprised to hear me say, you should be pooping 2 to 3 times per day. And
I say that all the time, because think about it. When babies are born, they poop every time they eat.
Exactly.
It's just, if that's a baby that doesn't get colicky, it's eating and pooping. And then when I hear about these people that poop every 3 or 4 days, I'm like, you've got like toxins growing in there that it's nuclear waste at that point.
Yeah.
And I don't understand. I think, and this is my other big thing, we could talk about this, dehydration. People do not drink enough water.
And my kids are so sick and tired of hearing me say that because I think, oh, you have a headache, it's because you're dehydrated. Can you tell me a little bit of how does water and being dehydrated affect your gut health?
Yeah. It's not even just about how much water we drink, it's how much we can absorb. And absorption happens on a gut level, but it's happening on a cellular level in the gut. And so a lot of the times when we have people who are constipated, they're also chronically dehydrated. And because, water's kind of becoming popular, I'm going to say like the electrolyte thing is becoming quite popular these days. People are often drinking water. There's still, of course, people who aren't drinking enough.
Right.
But even when people are drinking water, we're finding they're just peeing it right out. So if you're someone who's drinking all the water and just peeing it right out, that's actually a sign of chronic dehydration. And so, hydration is so, so important for bowel function, but also skin health. And when we talk about, well, if I'm drinking my water, how do I get it to absorb better? This is where we have to get into understanding nutrients that are going to support cell health. So yes, electrolytes are a great first step for hydration, which then is going to support bowels and skin. But there are some other, interesting nutrients that can also be helpful for cell health, like CoQ10 and phospholipids. And that's going to really help enhance absorption of that water.
What are your thoughts about adding, like in the morning, first thing, I have a glass of water, I put in, I squeeze in half a lemon, and then I put in a cap full of Bragg's apple cider vinegar, a pinch of this really great Gary Brecka salt that I put in, very high mineral salt, and then I get some olive oil and put 3 drops in. So I feel like that is really helping absorb. What are other ways that people can absorb water more effectively to have better gut health?
Yeah, the first step is working with salt, and we're not talking about table salt. We're talking about good quality salt. Remind me, I actually have that salt in my pantry. Really, here's what we're looking for. We're looking for really good quality sea salt. Okay.
Now, what about Himalayan salt?
Yeah,
do you like that?
So what about Himalayan salt? And depending how deep down wormholes people have gone, you may start to hear things like, well, it's higher in heavy metals. Well, yes, this can be true. It depends on the sourcing. And this is where, good quality brands are going to take you a lot further, like real salt. Okay. And so either a good quality sea salt or a good quality pink Himalayan salt will suffice. Okay. We're not wanting table salt, which has been processed, iodinized, often has sugar in it.
It's like a lot of it, it's not even salt at that point, right? If any of the listeners want to go to Amazon and go to Gary Brecka, he has this salt, and neither of us can remember the name, but it is there, and it's great, and it's really going to help you absorb your water much more effectively. What about food? Why don't you tell me a little bit about what kind of foods do you think help? I know watermelon is a really great source.
Are we talking about for hydration, skin health?
Yes.
Health? Okay.
Yes, hydration. For gut health and, just helping to be hydrated.
Yeah. So, again, it's back to absorption. And back to then cell health. So we start with good quality salts. And I love that drink that you're doing first thing in the morning, because just keeping it simple. We don't need expensive electrolytes.
No.
Touch on this. A lot of electrolyte powders are full of crap. They're full
of which is defeating the purpose, right?
Yeah, citric acid, which is often either genetically modified corn derived or mold derived. We've got natural flavors, which are not natural at all. This is an unregulated term, and it really is just a key word for we've got chemicals in this, okay? And so we just want to go back to that which is natural. And the most natural thing is just salt. And adding that a pinch of that into your water first thing in the morning will do wonders for you. Okay. The next thing when we get into food, and this is where I want you to think about food is not the problem when it comes to digestive issues, skin issues. We love to blame food, right? But I'm not talking about processed foods. I'm talking about whole, healthy foods. A lot of people are scared of broccoli or garlic and onions and meat.
What?
They're scared that they can't break down and digest these foods, or they're scared that these things are causing reaction. And so we get to keep food really simple. And so long as we are, consuming whole, healthy, unprocessed foods, we're good. It gets to be that simple. Okay. The next step with food is keeping it balanced. So making sure in every meal you have a protein, a fat, a carb, and a vegetable all together. Okay. So no toast and peanut butter as you run out the door. And we're not just going to eat a big bowl of ground beef. We've really got to get these food categories balanced and together, because they're going to work synergistically to support your gut health. And that is what's ultimately also going to support cell health.
Why don't you tell me, for example, give me a good breakfast?
Yeah, this is a great question. I think a lot of people get sick of the traditional breakfast. So I'm going to give you a traditional one and then a non-traditional one.
Okay.
Typical traditional eggs, right? So
right.
Let's be clear, ladies especially, I see a lot of my clients, they're having like a egg for breakfast, and that's not enough protein. Okay, you're going to get maybe.
We don't eat. You know what's so funny? We don't. So how many grams of protein do we want in the morning? 30 to 60?
Yeah. So this is a good question again, also. And that is, I'm going to say at minimum, you want 25 grams of protein per meal.
And so just give us an example. How many eggs is that? How many slices of turkey? How many?
Yeah. So this is where eggs don't even quite meet that minimum before we start hitting a caloric limit or a fat limit. So we're kind of balancing all of, again, protein, fat, carbs, vegetables. And we're balancing each of these nutrients. We're getting a little bit more advanced here. When it comes to eggs, just know that 2 eggs is going to be 1 portion, but you're going to fall short in your protein category that morning. Okay. Because I don't necessarily recommend for women going and, consuming 4 or 5 eggs to get that 25 grams of protein. Now you're going to be pushing your caloric and fat limits from a digestive standpoint. Okay. So this is where pairing up can be a really great way to balance out. So have your 2 eggs, but add a couple of turkey sausages on the side. Okay.
Perfect.
So now we've got our protein. Your fat is going to come from typically whatever you're cooking your breakfast in. So butter or tallow. These are going to be great, healthy, anti-inflammatory fats that are going to be so welcomed. Your cells are going to love these healthy fats. Now, from there, we still need a carbohydrate. All right. So I like to do roasted sweet potatoes first thing in the morning. They're so easy on the gut.
They're so great for you.
They're delicious. And high in vitamin A, which is a really important nutrient for healthy skin. And ladies, especially, I find this happens with ladies, is if you have like the little red spots on the backs of your arms, this can be a vitamin A deficiency when we're looking at skin.
Oh, interesting.
So sweet potatoes are a really great go-to for breakfast. Sometimes I'll do them savory. So I'll roast them up with, turmeric, salt, pepper, I usually put a bit of cumin in there, roast them in the oven, and you've got them ready on hand. So in the morning, you're just—
Love that. It's ready. Just chop them up and cook them.
Throwing them in your pan, reheating with your eggs. Good to go. Okay. If you love a little sweet treat, then highly recommend roasting them in the oven with tons of cinnamon. Now, I'm talking be just over the top with the amount of cinnamon, because what it's going to do with the natural sugars in that sweet potato is caramelize. And
beautiful. That
can be a really great breakfast, but also in a little bit of Greek yogurt at night is a great evening snack too, if you want a little something sweet.
Love these ideas. This is great.
So this is like a standard, egg kind of breakfast, but permission to break the rules and eat something that you just really enjoy. That could be a really delicious, fall's about to come. So a really good chicken soup, right? Making sure you've got enough chicken in there, not a few little, pieces.
Facts, but
right? Talking about chicken breast in there that could be rice or potatoes or noodles.
Zucchini or whatever.
Then add your vegetables. I love cabbage, which is a really great gut food. High in L-glutamine, which helps to repair gut lining, which then creates a healthier skin. This.
How do you prepare the cabbage?
So I like chopping it up into little cubes, like little squares.
Okay.
And I'll put a bunch of that with onions, carrots, celery. And so the bulk of my soup is cabbage. And then I like to cook that down in a bunch of broth. And I usually, believe it or not, I cook my chicken on the side. And the reason I do this is because I want to make sure I'm getting enough protein in my soup. Again, I'm not having a couple of little bites of chicken. So I cook my base of my soup with my veggies and my broth and everything. And then what I do is I'll portion them out in mason jars, and I'll have a chicken breast in each one. And then I pour my veggie broth mixture on top of that. And
Mason jars are the best. Like I make green juice every day. It's actually swamp because I put beet and broccoli. I mean, but I make enough for like 2 or 3 days, and I use these big mason jars. But another good thing, and I did a segment on this on California Live on NBC, people, I am convinced, will eat well and they will drink water when they're in the car if it's ready to go. So if you meal prep and you get mason jars or water bottles, have them in the fridge for you and your kids. And if you get in the habit of every time you get in the car to take some water, you will drink it. And then you don't have to worry about being dehydrated because you'll do it because there's nothing else to do. And then also, here's another little tip, and I'd love your thoughts. I'll get a chicken, an organic chicken that's already been roasted, and I will cook that in some bone broth and then add the vegetables, and I just debone it. So it's already kind of done. So if you don't have a lot of time, it is an option. There's options, but you do need to plan ahead a tiny bit to do these things.
Absolutely. And that's the thing, is there's no wrong way to do it. I think the best thing to do is to prep to set yourself up for success. And I always call this just blessing my future self, right? Like, oh, Alyssa tomorrow is going to be so happy that I've prepped dinners, right? Or
it's true.
That food is just in the fridge ready to go. And that can look like full complete meals, or it can just look like elements that are cooked and ready to go. And you can assemble them in multiple different ways.
I love that. You've said that poops don't lie. That sounds like a book. What do they reveal about your overall health and skin?
Mm-hmm. So let's start first things first is your quantity, right? We've briefly touched on this, but remember 2 to 3 times per day. But the other marker I want you to go from is you need to be eliminating elbow to wrist in total quantity for the day.
That's interesting. How did you come up with that, elbow to wrist?
That's actually the length of your descending colon, which happens
interesting.
From your hip down to the pelvic floor. And so if you actually take your elbow and tuck it in right where it naturally sits at your waist or at your hip there, and then you take your hand and down towards the pelvic floor, that is exactly where your descending colon is.
Interesting.
So we need to be fully evacuating that every day, because when you are not eliminating out all of that stool every day, that starts to backlog and you reabsorb those toxins into your blood system. And then they have to go somewhere else. So the body reroutes them to the skin to be pushed through. This is how we end up with, anything from breakouts to rashing. Okay.
Unbelievable.
Now, the interesting thing about that is that you can carry up to 20 pounds of poop in your colon. Or not just your colon.
Are you kidding?
Your intestines. So 20 pounds of poop in your intestines. A lot of women come to me, they think they are bloated, they think they need to lose weight, but they're actually just full of poop. So I want to really stress that elimination is so, so important.
When you get to that point that you have 20 pounds of poop, do you think people need to have what does one do? What do you tell a client? Like when you're convinced, like I'm sure that you can look at someone and go, okay, they've got 20 pounds of poop in there. What does someone look like that has 20 pounds of poop in them? Is their stomach just completely extended, or what signs are there?
This is a great question because it varies from person to person. While some people, a lot of our clients come to us, look like they're 6 months pregnant, but that can fluctuate. And that's not always just because of constipation. Right. We have other people that, their stomach may be a bit distended, but you'd be surprised how much you can carry internally without it being visible outside. And so more often than not, it's less of a visible cue than it is a feeling. So we're usually hearing things like, obviously, I'm not pooping, I'm super bloated, I'm gassy, I have abdominal pains, I'm getting colon spasms or cramping, brain fog, fatigue, memory issues, headaches, skin issues, And that's where we start to go, oh, okay, let's start with the bowels. And when we're dealing with that level of constipation, there's typically larger issues at play, underlying damage, deficiencies, and infections that we need to address.
So what are your thoughts on colonics?
Big fan of colonics. And they're not going to fix constipation, right? They're a helpful tool. They're nice to utilize, but not a need to utilize, right? And I love a lot of things like colonics and a lot of these other biohacking tools that are all the rage today, right? But things like red light, right, for skin, love it. But if you're not pooping, it's not going to fix a skin issue. Right.
Correct. No, that's why it's gut health is everything.
Yeah.
It's truly everything.
So
you're just masking with the red light or doing these things. It's really not getting to the root of the problem. You're still going to have this issue.
Yeah. So love colonics, love red light, love sauna therapy. These are all really great tools, but we really ultimately need to get to the root of the matter. So again, if you're someone struggling with skin issues, we want to kind of lift the hood of your car, look at the engine, see what's going on, and not just put a shiny paint job on it.
I think so many people normalize bloating, constipation, and reflux when these are clearly red flags.
There's a lot of reasons why this happens, but we are really good at taking care of the people around us. And we're really good at being ambitious and chasing goals and kind of white knuckling through life. And although we're not very good human beings, we're not very good at being discomfort, we're comfort driven creatures. There's a certain kind of tipping point where doing the work to address our gut is too uncomfortable. Right. And what I mean by that is it's hard work, right? Getting into functional testing and a commitment to change our lifestyle. And sometimes that's confronting, the jobs that we hate or the relationships that are not serving us. And that's hard work. And so it's more comfortable to stay with what's familiar. And that's where we will choose a familiar hell long before we'll choose an unfamiliar peace. But what I find is typically where the tipping point is where the symptoms start to really impact our quality of life. And that's where that starts to trump the discomfort of doing something about it. And so everyone has a different tipping point, but it's usually because we are going to choose familiarity over, change.
You've helped people heal without restrictive diets. What's the biggest myth about gut healing that you would like to bust today?
That food is the problem. Food is not the problem, right? It's easy to think that because I eat, I have a reaction, right? But what often happens for many people is they'll eat a food and they feel fine, but they eat it the next day and they bloat like they're 6 months pregnant. And so I say, well, that's interesting. That's not very consistent data. Right. And so this is why so many people that come to me, they're really struggling with foods because they're taking out all these foods thinking food is causing their symptoms. And before you know it, they've run out of foods to eat. And so I really encourage people to dig deeper into understanding why that might even be happening. It's not to say that the reactions you're experiencing aren't happening. They're real, right? But it's more often that there are different damage and deficiencies going on in the gut. For example, if you have infections, they're going to suppress your enzyme levels, which are going to help break down your foods so that you can absorb nutrients, so that they can go to places like your skin and your hair and your nails so that you can have, these beautiful things that you're looking to achieve. Right. But if you don't have enough enzymes to break down your foods, those foods are going to sit and rot in your gut and ferment, and it creates this gas buildup. And this is why we bloat. It's why we get acid reflux. And this is also what impacts our motility or our bowels. And so that's the thing, is that food is not actually causing the problem. There's something deeper rooted going on that is causing that reaction. And when we fix that, your whole world gets to change and you no longer have to manage those symptoms the rest of your life.
Right. How did battling mold disease and Lyme disease change your approach as a practitioner?
It rocked my world.
Really?
At that point, I was unable to walk without excruciating pain. I felt like a shell of a person. And I think anyone who has gone through some sort of health or healing crisis understands what that means.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened for me, and I'll say I've always had this about me, is I have had this relentlessness. And I've been relentlessly pursuing my business. I've relentlessly pursued my healing. I've relentlessly pursued my happiness. And this is something that I carry with me in all areas of my life. But in that relentless pursuit, I not only did I go back to school and become a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner and deepen my studies into functional medicine. The biggest thing is that I reclaimed myself, and I went from not walking to hiking mountains around the world. And last year, one of the trips I took, I went to Spain and hiked the Camino Trail. And
Oh my God, I love this.
That's what changed in me. That's what shifted in me, is not only I became a better practitioner, but I found a new version of myself. And that's why our healing issues are actually the biggest healing opportunity. They will crack you open in the hardest way possible, but there's so much reward if you take that invitation to heal.
Love it. What role do stress and mindset play in gut health, do you think?
That's a big one. Stress has been shown to impact the gut greatly. Not only does it deplete your good bacteria, because of that, it allows for infections to come in. It causes leaky gut or gut permeability, and it also damages your gut motility. So you're more susceptible to chronic diarrhea or constipation. And so it's literally damaging the function of your digestive tract all the way between your mouth and your bum. How's that for a visual? And
there you go.
When we talk about stress, stress is a really, really big one, but we're not just talking about emotional stressors. Stressors can also be environmental, like a mold exposure, like a toxic relationship or environment that you might be in. And so stressors, or stress as a whole, is much broader. And so that's why we always like to take into consideration how that might be impacting you, not just what's coming up on your test results.
Why do you think that what we put on our skin matters as much as what we eat?
Well, it is an absorption. Just like it goes out, it also comes in. It's an absorption point as well, just like it is an exit point. And so your skin, at any point, at any contact point, this includes, ladies, not just the makeup we put on our hair or on our face, but the shampoos and conditioners that we use in our hair, the hair products, anything.
The lotion.
Lotions, nail polish, hair
sunscreens,
all of these things are touching us, right? And they're ingestion points. And so we want to be mindful of that. Now, I always encourage my clients, we can't live in a bubble, right? The goal isn't to live in a sterilized world or to even sterilize your gut from gut infections. And so we don't have to be perfect to be healthy, right? But what we need to do is make sure that we have a strong, resilient vessel. So if your body and your drainage points in your body, like your liver and your kidneys and your lymphatic system, are all healthy and functioning properly, they can process out, and they're designed to process out, toxins that we come in contact with. We are in a highly, highly toxic environment today. So we do need to be mindful of how much we're putting on our skin and ingesting. So I always say, I like to pick my poisons. And there are just some things, it's that's my thing. I don't use a clean shampoo because the clean ones just don't work the way that I want them to. And that's the poison that I choose. I have picked that poison.
I was going to ask you, what do you wish, what do you do that's bad that, you wish wasn't? So is it the shampoo?
Yeah, it's the shampoo. And I went through and a lot of people kind of swing to one end of the pendulum in your healing, where you get super rigid and super fearful, and
right.
becomes extra clean, and you can't do certain things. And I noticed that was robbing my peace and my happiness, and that wasn't the end goal. That's not
a big one, right? Having joy and happiness is, I think, as important as the stress, the food, all the different things. I was speaking with this woman. She'd written a book called Ageless Aging. She's 75 and is looks like she's 50. She's smoking hot. And she was saying that she was speaking to this really famous expert on gut health and aging. And, they were saying, before it was like, oh, having some red wine is good. Now it's bad. It changes all the time. But what this woman told her was, and I love this, you know what? Sometimes you need to do things like have a glass of wine at the end of the day because it makes you feel good. You relax, you chat, it's social. Like that actually is such a key component that we forget, laughing. Something, sometimes you need to go eat a cookie just because it feels good,
Yes. Yes.
But we can choose the kind of cookie. I mean, we don't have to eat one that's full of chemicals and, terrible oils, but, go find some yummy cookie or make one.
Yeah, absolutely.
What are a few things you think that people can do? What do you tell people to start out with? So the first thing is the water in the morning, eating food it's real food, having it handy. Give me a couple other examples.
Yeah, so the next big thing would be making sure you're pooping 2 to 3 times per day. And just for time's sake, because it's going to kind of depend on the severity of your bowel movements. And you might be pooping maybe too much. Maybe you're on the diarrhea end of the spectrum. So if you're someone who's struggling with constipation or diarrhea, you can jump over to my website. I have a free perfect poop guide. And in that guide, we break down everything from lifestyle factors to full protocols, whether you are diarrhea, constipation, or fluctuating between the two. But that's the main thing that needs to get stabilized. And when we stabilize that, then you improve your quality of life so that you have the capacity to go and figure out why that's happening in the first place. So that's a really important thing. Then I'm going to say the next most important thing is finding micro joys each day. Okay. Now this sounds really basic. It sounds boring and you're probably rolling your eyes.
Are you kidding? I'm like,
that probably means that you especially need it, right? Now, if some people might not be rolling their eyes, but if you're rolling your eyes, this is especially for you.
Exactly.
So here's the thing, and I was just talking to a client yesterday about this, and they were struggling with a situation with their neighbor. And one of the things that we were really uncovering in that session is he was really prioritizing everyone else's happiness. And he wasn't on the to-do list ever. And so what was happening?
Self-care is not selfish, people.
Right.
It really isn't. You're giving, the better you feel, you're going to be able to be a better version of you. You're going to be able to be more giving and loving and kind if you physically feel good. And so, I mean, when people are telling me, oh, I don't have time, that's horseshit. You need to make the time because first of all, you want to set a good example for your kids that you know how to take care of yourself because you want them to take care of themselves. So if they don't see you doing it, how are they going to do it? So tell me a little bit more about that. So then what happened?
Yeah, well, so it's interesting because people start to get resentful when this happens, right? We all know this, right? When we're giving too much, we're helping too much, right? And I see this with my female clients a lot where they're helping, they think they're being helpful to their husbands, right? And by inserting themselves and over worrying about shit they don't need to worry about.
Right.
So we just need to sometimes stop it because we're laying down.
Let them. You have to Mel Robbins them and let them.
Let them, but also trust them because they're probably not going to break it and the world's not going to end. All right. We have to trust that they've got it. But when we are over giving and we're over helping and we're overdoing, we get resentful and we actually stop pouring into our cup. And when you pursue micro joys each day and you really prioritize your happiness, the little stuff like your neighbor or your spouse not putting the garbage out in the right way or, whatever it is, that stuff won't matter to you.
Right? That's true. We
only get nitpicky when we get resentful, and we get resentful because we've lost our joy. And that is the source of stress and the foundation of stress that we need to nip in the bud for your health and happiness.
That's so true. Okay. Coffee, matcha, or tea?
I'm going to say tea. I've never been a coffee drinker, believe it or not.
Okay. Smoothie or salad for gut health?
I'm going to say salad.
Okay. Sunrise hike or sunset yoga?
Ooh, sunrise hike.
I agree.
On a mountain, preferably.
Of course. And hopefully with a view of the ocean.
Yes.
Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah.
Okay. Favorite gut-friendly comfort food? I think I know what you're going to say.
Do you? Okay. Well, do you know what? I'll tell you what I've been doing lately. And
okay, tell me.
The interchanges, but
okay.
The thing that I've been going to lately are peanut butter stuffed dates covered in chocolate.
Ooh.
And I got
Girl, where do you get those? Do you make them?
They're so easy. You shove some peanut butter in a date and fold it up and melt some chocolate in.
Like chocolate chips?
You can buy chocolate chips, yeah. And I put a little bit of extra coconut oil in there and to fit
Love
the
it.
chocolate. And you're going to coat them in chocolate, put them on some parchment paper and into the freezer just so the chocolate firms up, and then transfer them to a Ziploc bag or whatever container of your choice.
Oh my.
Keep them in the freezer and you can eat them straight out of the freezer.
Oh my gosh, that sounds so good.
Little peanut butter chocolate caramel bites. They're so good. And
yum.
We need to not be scared of sugar from whole, healthy foods. Okay.
So I have another one. I saw this actually on Instagram and I did it. It's pumpkin. You get like canned pumpkin, or you could get fresh, but it's cooked. You put it in the Vitamix or a blender or Cuisinart, and you get melted a bag of semi-sweet chocolates and you put it in, and it is like, and then you put it in the freezer. It is heaven on earth. And now, of course, I added a crap ton of cinnamon and ginger and vanilla. And it was so good. And it's like so satisfying, and you don't have to, and I added no sugar, and it was so satisfying.
Yeah,
okay, back to this.
That is going to be the fiber in the pumpkin. That's going to be helpful for you.
Right?
Yeah, love it.
So that's a good one. You have to try that. I'd be curious what you think of it.
Try that.
What's one skincare product that you swear by?
I'm going to say oils.
Mm.
I don't mean essential oils. I'm talking about
face oils.
Yeah, like a prickly, like just pure single ingredient oils, like prickly pear. Rosehip is great for anti-aging, but I'm gonna say prickly pear is my favorite, and my
never heard of that.
Is pomegranate oil.
Pomegranate.
Yeah.
Huh. And what was the other one? Rose oil. Rosehip.
Rosehip is I'm gonna say one of the more popular oils.
Okay.
Great for anti-aging, great for inflammation, but I'm a big fan of prickly pear. It just goes on. It's so light. It doesn't make your skin feel oily.
Feel oily, greasy.
It's something that I would put on after my skincare at nighttime before I go to bed.
Interesting. What are your thoughts on organic castor oil?
Love castor oil. Not on the face though. It's drying on the face. And I should say, I have put it on my face because it's so great at promoting circulation. So if you have any puffiness or things under the eyes and, around the chin and cheeks and stuff, it can be helpful, but I'm more in favor of face taping if that's the issue you're trying to target topically on the face. But castor oil, I wear every night on my stomach and in my belly button.
Yes, I do that too. And then I've got this like weird looking piece of fabric that I tie on. It's really sexy. Yeah. They do say that one of the benefits of organic castor oil, if you put it on your eyes, that it helps stimulates growth of lashes. Do you agree with that?
I do agree with that. I have done that. Yeah, absolutely. You can do that. It's interesting. A lot of people, when they start to hear of the hair promoting benefits that can come from castor oil, they get a little bit concerned about facial hair growth.
No, that's never happened. Like I don't believe that. No.
I reassure people that that's not an issue. It doesn't act on face hair like it does in different parts of like other parts of the body. So eyelashes are totally safe. The other place that I use castor oil is actually through my roots of my hair to promote hair growth with a derma roller. That's a really great combination for hair regrowth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the weirdest gut health trend you've ever heard of?
I mean, I'm going to say I don't think it's weird, but I'm going to say most people will probably think this weird, and that's coffee enemas and sticking coffee up your butt.
Okay, how does one do that?
So coffee enema, there's, you would need a coffee enema kit, like a bucket.
Oh, okay, you have to get a kit.
Yeah.
Okay, you can't just, you can't just get your fresh pressed coffee and...
And, you do need to make sure it's good quality, organic, mold-free. We're not going to put toxins back up our
right.
But this is a great way to support several parts of the body, including things like the liver and bowels, which can then benefit the skin.
Love that. What's your guilty food pleasure?
My guilty pleasure? I'm a salty, crunchy person.
Oh, okay.
And so I would say a chip would be my preference.
Yeah, something crunchy, right?
Yeah, I would choose salt over sweet any day of the week.
Interesting. Poops, morning, night, or unpredictable? You're going to say, I know, it's 3 times a day, 2-3 times a day,
Like what
right?
it should be or what I would prefer?
Yeah. What would you prefer? What is the optimal? What is the goal?
I mean, so in traditional Chinese medicine, the bowels are most active between 5 a.m. and 7 a.m. And so ideally, we're waking up and having a really healthy, satisfying poop in the morning.
Okay.
And
Okay.
it's still normal to poop throughout the day too. I want to be clear that we can't control the timing of our poops, but there's nothing better than a good poop first thing in the morning before you start your day.
Okay. Here's something, and everyone will attest to this. It's like your body knows, like when you're traveling, your body doesn't want to poop. And then as soon as you walk in the door of your house, you eliminate like an unseemly amount. What is up with that?
Yeah, there is such a thing as a mind-body connection, and our mind can control the body, which means if you're hyperfixating on symptoms, you're going to get more symptoms. But, also if you're concerned about having access to a bathroom, or you don't want to use a public bathroom, or I got to say, I hate bathrooms on an airplane. You couldn't pay me to go there.
Okay. You know what my biggest pet peeve is? Yeah. Men. And yes, it's you men that are so you weren't raised, your mom failed you. You have the audacity to go in there, lift the toilet seat, and walk out after you've urinated all over it and not put the lid back down. Like, no one wants to touch that, not even another man. So you men, please do us all a favor and put the lid down.
It's a whole thing. And
yeah,
so when we're traveling, typically when we have those types of thoughts, then we're starting to control our food and our drink intake, because we don't really want to have to go, and we can hold our bowels. We can literally hold our bowels.
But subconsciously, I don't think anyone is trying to. Like, I certainly am not, because I don't care. Yeah. Like, I've given birth 5 times. I don't care. But it's very odd that, like, my body, it's like as soon as I walk in the door, I have to go. It's so weird. Yeah. And I don't understand, because I don't have an issue. I don't care.
It can happen consciously. It can also happen subconsciously. And, when we land at home, it's our safe place. It's where the body fully relaxes and comes down, and it's like, oh, I can release now, right?
Yeah.
So there can be a lot of reasons why that happens.
What's one daily habit that you can't live without?
Every morning I am outside and I go to my garden.
Yeah, love it. Me too. Yeah, love that.
And touch some grass.
Absolutely. Ground yourself.
Yeah.
Look up at the sky. Yes. If you weren't a gut health expert, what do you think you'd be?
I probably would be a music therapist.
Interesting. So something helping others.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. It's in my blood and my bones. Can't help it.
What do you do when your day isn't flowing?
Oh, I full stop. I've learned a long time ago, I don't force it. I just surrender the day. I don't even try and negotiate with myself or convince myself. I get in full commitment to supporting my body that day. If that means doing absolutely nothing, then that is what it is. Because I've learned that when I just let it go and I flow with that, I usually wake up the next day and I'm 10 times more productive.
That's great. I love that you're listening to your body. That's super important. I think everyone really needs to do that. Where's your happy place?
In amongst the trees or up on top of a mountain, for sure. It's in nature or in an ocean. You just put me in nature, and I am happy.
Are you a warm person or a cold person? You like the sun? You like warm? You like to be warm?
Yeah. Let me say, I run hot-blooded. So I'm usually very warm. And so, yeah, I can go both ways. I can enjoy the warmth, but I also enjoy a good cold dip.
Very nice. If I looked inside your fridge right now, what's one thing I would always find in there?
Eggs.
Yes.
Eggs.
Me too.
Yeah, that's probably the easiest one.
What is the strangest gut health trend that you've seen online that makes you absolutely cringe?
I'm going to say probiotics.
Oh, you're not a fan?
Not a fan.
Do tell.
Yeah, this is the power of testing, because I can't tell you how many people come to me and they've tried a bajillion things. They've worked with different practitioners, and that practitioners never tested them. So they don't actually know what's causing their symptoms. So probiotics are really popular, and they were especially popular. Let me say 8 years ago, we went through a bit of a probiotic age. Today, parasites are all the rage. Everyone's doing parasite cleansing right now. But probiotics, they're popular, and so everyone just started consuming them. But what we find with testing is that more often than not, our beneficial bacteria are overgrown. And too much of a good thing is not a good thing. And so that actually presents as an infection in the body and contributes to symptoms. And that could be anything from gas, bloating, constipation, diarrhea, reflux, skin issues, itchy body, hair, dandruff.
So where does one go? Like, what kind of a test does one go get?
So we typically run DNA stool testing to assess beneficial bacteria. And so, again, we find more often levels are high, and adding in a probiotic in that case will make things worse. It's very, very rare that someone's levels are so depleted that it would warrant an actual supplementation of a probiotic.
Wow, that's interesting. What's one small daily habit that anyone listening today could do for better digestion?
To sit down and observe the color of your food, the smell of your food, and then chew it enough that you taste it. And actually, I'll even insert before you start to eat your food to inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 2, and exhale for 7 seconds. And do 3 rounds of that to really ground yourself so that your body is in rest and digest and not fight or flight.
Interesting.
So if you're in fight or flight, your digestion is shut down, and it means you're not going to break down and digest the food that you are eating, which is why presence when you're eating is so, so important.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That is really good.
Like, sit down to drink your coffee, sit down to drink your smoothie. A lot of the times we're eating and running or drinking and running, like pause, ingest, digest, and then carry on with your day.
In my other world, I'm a makeup artist and I'm a CEO.
Yeah.
But I wake up early enough every day that I can sit on my biometric mat, have my water, my green juice, my protein, work out, because I cannot give of myself until I've done those things. I think if everyone would get up a bit earlier and just take a little time for yourself, like, waking up 1 hour early or maybe even half an hour will make a huge difference in how you feel. So when you start your day, you're ready to go. You're not awake, because I can't go on set and take care of someone if I'm like half asleep. I have to be like at this level of energy, right? And so I've really learned that I need to get up early and do all these things. And what are your thoughts on lymphatic draining, like dry brushing, these lymphatic machines?
I love supporting the lymph, but the one thing that we have to understand is that the lymph can only drain if your liver and your bowels are draining. So there's a certain pecking order or priority order of drainage out of the body. And the order is bowels, liver, bile ducts, and then lymphatic system. So a lot of people are stirring up their lymph, but their liver and bile ducts are congested, or they're not pooping. And so this is like, kicking up all the dust with no exit point.
Interesting. So the might make things worse.
Yeah, I love lymphatic support, but my question would be, are you pooping? And have we assessed your liver markers through blood even? We don't even have to do anything too fancy, but through blood, and not through lab ranges, which are just public averages. We want to look at them through functional ranges and make sure that that's good. Then I would give you the green light on lymph.
Interesting. My friend, what have I not asked you today that you want to share?
I think the most important thing to remember is that we're not broken.
True.
I think
we can always fix our health.
We're really in a fix it kind of world. And I think the default is to think that there's something wrong with us, and we need to just keep buying more supplements and buying more tools. And if we just eat healthier, if we just do this one more thing. And I just want you to know, you get to leave yourself alone. You can just leave yourself alone and just be, and just being is enough. And you are enough just as you are if you did not one more thing today. And that is a level of peace that I hope all people are able to kind of access, including myself.
Yeah, you have to follow your own laws, as my children love to tell me. You know what I really loved what you said today about bits of joy, really finding bits of joy and love and laughter in your life will make an incredible difference. If you're a happy person, everything's easier.
Yeah.
You know, you just have to decide you want happiness. I truly believe is a choice. I can't thank you enough for being here. I'm going to have everything in the show notes where people can find you. I can't thank you enough for your time. You are like, this has been my dream interview. I'm talking about gut health and pooping. Oh my God.
Amazing.
Love, love, love.
Thank you so much for having me. It's
Thank
so much
you.
fun.
So much fun. Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Bye.